Welcome to this Fulbright enrichment session titled Coping with University Demands, Proven Time Management Techniques. My name is George Marquis, and I'm from the American University in Cairo, Egypt. This session will enable you to identify whether you're a good time manager. It will also help you diagnose where you could improve your time management, and it will provide useful tips for finding more time to finish what you need to finish in your very busy schedules. This enrichment session has been recorded in 3 parts. Each part is a separate video. Each video has a separate link. So you should have all 3 links before you begin watching. This session lasts approximately 1 hour, and there are 7 handouts that accompany this video. You should have the 7 handouts on hand as you watch. You'll pause the video every so often to do the activities in the handout. I will tell you when to pause. Okay? Let's begin, and I hope you enjoy this session. Is this you? Is this you? What about this? Or this? And finally this. What about your students? Are some of them turning in work late? Are they doing their assignments at the last minute? Are they complaining about long reading assignments? Are they asking you to change the due dates? And are they showing up to class late? Some of this, of course, could be a class management issue, but it also could be that your students as well are suffering from time management problems. What are the possible reasons? It could be that you or your students need pressure to be motivated. It could be that you underestimate the time needed to finish something. Sometimes you think you need a day to write a paper and you find out you need 2 or 3. Maybe you're just wasting time or you don't have a plan. Or maybe you just have too much to do. You are, after all, teaching and studying at the same time. So we're going to go through an outline. This outline has 6 parts. The first video, for example, covers the first 2 points. We're going to go through this, and this will allow us to first assess our time management skills, then to find out what it is that's working against us, and then finally to set goals and to get on the right track with time management. Now, part 1 is the work-life balance. Work-life balance refers to the need that we all have as humans to have a balance in our lives. We can't be working all the time. We have physical needs. We have to sleep. We have to eat, and we need to eat well. We also have mental needs. We can't be totally satisfied through work. We have social needs. We need to have contact with people. So we need to have a balance. If you don't have a balance, it can affect 2 things. It can affect your work. It can affect the way the relations with people at work, and it can also affect you physically. It can cause you to have sleeping problems. It can cause you to have digestive problems, among other things. So we're going to look at handout 1. I need you to open this. You have probably received this by email, or else you have it in hard copy. So you're going to open this up, and this is the first activity. So I'm going to show you how it works. As you can see here, there are 5 choices, from strongly agree to strongly disagree. And what I'd like you to do is to put a check mark in the box that relates to, or that most corresponds to how you feel about the prompt. So for the first one, I have the time to do what I want outside of college or school. Do you have the time to, on the weekend, to visit your friends? Do you have the time to travel? Or are you basically working all the time? If you're working all the time, then you would check strongly disagree. In the next one, I eat well because I have the time to choose what I eat and make healthful choices. If you're careful about what you eat and you have the time to eat well, meaning that you have the time to prepare healthful foods or to choose them, then you can hit strongly agree. If not, then strongly disagree. So I think you understand how to do that. We'll move down here to the second set of boxes, and that refers to you as a student. Are your grades suffering because you submit work late? If yes, and it's a bad problem, then strongly agree. If it happened once, maybe it could be neutral. Number 2, I'm behind in my reading assignments. If you are, but it's not too bad, you could just click agree. So I think you get the point. So now what I'd like you to do is fill in the rest of them. And to do that, obviously, you're going to pause this video. Once you're done, come back to the video and we'll continue. Okay, so now I'm going to go through this with you and show you where you should be. In the first box, most of your checks should be on this side. If they're over here, this is good. If you have a lot of checks over here, this is not good. That indicates that you don't have the correct work-life balance. And then over here, it's the opposite down on this one. So if you're here, this is good. And if you're over here, this is not good. So if you found that you're on the X side, this means you need to consider making changes to your habits. Now we're in part 2, which is assessing your current approach. For this one, this is handout 2. Open this up. And I'm going to ask you to put a number in here. So in my box, for each set of choices, you're going to choose the one that's most like you and put it in the box to the left. For example, in number 1, I like my watch to be set a few minutes ahead of the correct time. Number 2, I like my watch to be set exactly at the correct time. Or most of the time, I don't wear a watch. Now, it could be that you don't wear a watch, but you still have something like, your telephone that tells you what time it is all the time. So if you depend on something all the time, you could choose 1 or 2. It doesn't really have to be a watch. In my case, I wear a watch, and I have a phone, and I have both of them. Well, the phone is difficult, but my watch is set ahead of the correct time. That's because I always want to be early. So in my case, I'm going to put a 1 here. For the second one, I use an alarm to wake up every morning. Now that I certainly do. I use my phone as my alarm. And I have a different time that I get up every day, depending on how early I have to teach. So I definitely use an alarm. If I didn't have one, I wouldn't wake up. Number 3, I tend to arrive for most appointments at least 5 minutes early. Or I tend to arrive for most appointments exactly on time. In my case, it's the second one. I tend to arrive. So I'm going to put a 2 there. So you can see what I'm doing. You're going to fill in all of those. And then at the bottom, you're going to get a number here. This number is going to range from 9 to, I think, 36 is probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9. So it's going to be 9. It's going to be 9 to 27. So your number is going to be somewhere in that range. Okay, so put the video on pause, fill that in, and then we'll analyze. Okay, now it's time to analyze. What was your score? If your score was from 9 to 12, then the good news is that you are very efficient. You are an incredible manager of time People can depend on you and you don't disappoint. You're probably never late, and you probably don't waste any time doing anything. You can probably also handle more than one job at the same time, meaning that you're probably able to be a student and to be a teacher and find time for both. So you can handle enormous pressure. However, you may be overly stressed, and this may be affecting your health. So you need to go back and look at your work-life balance. If it seems that there's not enough balance, you may have to make some changes. That's in order to protect your health. Now, this is the second group, and most students fall in this category, having a score between 13 and 22. The good news is that you're relaxed, or more relaxed than the 9 to 12 group, and you probably are in control, and you don't let things pressure you. You get your work done mostly, and you're probably happy in your routine. But at your pace, you can't take on additional activities. Or, for example, if there's a part-time, maybe a non-paid job with your supervisor, you might not be able to do it at this pace because you really don't manage your time in a way that would allow you to take on too much. Not like the 9 to 12ers. Now, if your score is in the 23 to 27 range, the good news is that you're probably very social and you probably have lots of friends and you have very good times outside of class and outside of work. However, you're probably not doing that well teaching or as a student because your time management is not good enough for you to have everything under control. So you need to think about ways in which you can be a better time manager if this is your score. But it's not very usual to find FLTAs with this score. Why? Because it's almost impossible to teach and study and have a score like this. That's the end of part 1. I'll see you in the next video in video 2, where we begin with part 3.